hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yes? Yes, yes, yes. तो आप लोग बड़े होकर क्या बनेंगे?
Adnan, Malik.
आए नहीं 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 नहीं. There's no future in that. Trust me. So जब मैं 12 साल का था, this is what I used to do. Ball, tennis ball there, and quickly get the bat, and then hit a shot, and then do it for about 4 hours. Needless to say, I had a great average in my head because I never got out, because I was bowling to myself. I wanted to be a cricketer. I told my father, Abu said, "ठीक है बेटा, तुम्हें cricketer बनना है, बस चुपचाप से अपना काम करो, and just be quiet about it, be focused on what you want to do, and one day you will be what you want to be." Very encouragingly, he took me to a cricket match. He is a doctor. He took me to this hospital cricket match. I was 12, and I was a little roly. And at the cricket match, the first day, the first game, he made me, they said, okay, Adnan can be 12th man. I did some fielding. Second game, I was 12th man. I did some diving. I think by the third game, the docs decided, this kid can play. Let's give him a chance. Or maybe someone wasn't there that day. Probably, more likely. So when the time came to bat, I went to my dad and I was like, Abu, I want to bat 2 down because, that's where Miyadad bats, and I think I'll do a really good job. And, my father being the one who could answer all my problems, I thought he'd be like, of course, son, I'll make it happen for you. Instead, he said, listen, everybody wants to bat at 2 down. It's as simple as that. If you really want to bat, you should go in as an opener. I was like, what? That's insane. These guys are like, 3 decades older than me. How is that even going to happen? I thought कि ball लगेगी, I'll get hit on the body. It was almost like going out to war. But then he said, okay, the other option is that you bat at 8 or 9 and you don't get to play, like 30 overs or 35 overs. Hard ball, by the way. Okay, so cut to me, walking out as an opener. I almost felt like everyone was laughing at me. And of course, I was wearing adult pads, right? So it felt like I was like a bomb disposal squad unit guy going out to bat. I don't know anyone who's ever played a match knows. You go out in the middle, you're in the bowler's territory, so it's intimidating. At that point, Dr. Tashfeen had come back from London and learned the art of reverse swing. And I was very, very scared. And also, no matter how good I thought I was in my head, I'm still a Pakistani, so I can't play swing bowling. So first ball beaten, second ball beaten, but still there. Third ball kind of hit awkwardly. I was like, man, where am I? Of course, everyone was being a little condescending also. They were just like, who, they've sent this kid out. I think the fourth or fifth ball, I kind of sweetly timed it. The ball hit the bat, went through cover for 4. I made a few more runs. I came back to the pavilion, got out, I think like caught behind at like 14. But my dad was really proud of me. He said, he stood up and he was like, well done, you went out there, you fought. And I was proud that I didn't make a fool of myself. 2 games later, I made a century. I must have been 12 going on to 13, playing against like 40-year-olds. I made 100, and that was kind of an incredible learning experience for me, and it's something that I keep with me. And I always say this to my dad, I'm like, you made me your opening batsman. Emotions. It's something that I decided to take with me in everything that I did in life, which is like, just go in, take that chance. If you really believe in it, something or the other will work out. Cricketer to main nahi bana, clearly. I decided to go to America for higher education. I had more questions that needed to be answered. I wanted to figure things out for myself. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Got into a great liberal arts school. Was classmates with Anne Hathaway. So I knew her. I used to wave at her down the hall. But like like most good Pakistani boys, I was going to be an econ major, economics. Dad was a doctor, mom was a teacher. Economics, theek hai, I wasn't bad at it. But 2 years later, in Poughkeepsie, New York, 10,000 some miles away from Pakistan, I was miserable. I got to that point, I was sitting in class, a microeconomics class, and I couldn't even understand what was going on. And I was like, how did I get to this low where I don't even know what the teacher is writing on the board? That day, I think I went and I looked at the course book and I decided that it's time to change things. I opened the book and I suddenly saw all these courses on film studies and American popular culture and art history and what Andy Warhol has done. And I was like, this is amazing. This is all stuff that I cared about but never thought could be a career or something that I could study. I swear to you guys, like 2 days later, from being depressed and anxious and unsure about who I was, I felt like I was on top of the world. Like it was all like it was almost like people were throwing this. It's like a dreamscape, and people are throwing amazing food at you, and you can just like gobble it up. It was like unreal, the kind of nutrition I was getting from what I was learning. Everything changed in my life, and including I had this amazing girl that came up to me in my art history class and decided that she wanted to date me. Amazing woman. I was just like, wow, man, when you are on the right path, right? A path of least resistance. So this happened. Things seemed to sort themselves out, and then 9/11. I was asleep in my room in college. My roommates sort of ran in, and they were like, dude, do you know what happened? There's like these planes that just went into a building, and it's like crazy. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, there's this, like, we don't know, and this and that. And then, like, it came down to the fact that there were a bunch of people, Muslims, possibly Pakistanis, who put their planes into a building, and all of a sudden, I had to start answering for them. School of 3,000 people, and maybe 3 Pakistanis and 5 Muslims in total. बड़े सालों से मैंने ये नहीं सोचा था कि मैं बाहर जाऊंगा तो I'll be a Pakistani. I'm always someone who wants to integrate. I look at myself as a communicator. But that time really pushed me to give answers, because I knew at the end of the day, people are people. People will laugh at the same things and they will cry at the same things. That's the politics. It's other things that make us behave the way we do. So that made me take a plane all the way back across the world, when I had gone already, to this amazing city, Karachi. This city that sort of is so attritional in the way that it loves you. It's difficult, but it's accepting. It's where everything happens. It's a buzz. In fact, side note, I think my favorite time in Karachi, 3 a.m. in the morning. I always think that it's like a mother who's put her kids to sleep. So I always feel this real calmness in Karachi at 3 in the morning. Anyways, I come back armed with questions, a camera, and an open heart. I go out onto the streets. I start asking people questions. I start going to I don't know, I can't say the words, but I started going to different schools and different places and put myself in dangerous situations. But I kind of created this amazing project with photographs and video, and it was basically to show people in America that people here are human too, and they've got certain, they've got human qualities that people there might not have seen, at least people at my school or heard about at the time. The project was called Deconstructing the Terrorist. And from the streets of Karachi to like the galleries of Poughkeepsie and the cover of the newspaper there, this became a really big phenomenon. People were like, okay, this is amazing. I had the poli-sci professors come to me. It suddenly became a thing. There's this Pakistani student who went back, interviewed all these people, brought it back, and is like really framing this whole thing as a human thing, about human interactions, not the politics. So I was like, okay, I found my purpose, that I can communicate, that I can change people's opinions about things. In the same vein, I decided to stay another semester in school. I made myself do it. I got financial aid for it because I wanted to make a film. And I realized that would be my calling card to the world, and I wanted to do it about identity, especially sort of Pakistani Muslim identity. So I met, this is going to be a shocker for you guys, I met a Muslim transgender at a party. Yeah, you're like, what kind of parties does this guy go to? Theek hai. Met her at a party, decided that this person is more sorted than most of us in this room, had a really strong perspective about something, and I want to make a film about this. Got it through all the stages of convincing my teachers, and there was like 25 proposals, 4 got accepted, we got a budget, we started going into training, I was going to put this film together. I had met Bijli, he was an amazing person, her name was Bijli, her name. And I was ready to go, raring to go, except I get this phone call from Bijli the day before the shoot, saying कि Adnan, मेरी ज़िंदगी इस लायक नहीं है कि आप एक फिल्म बनाएं, और मैंने अपने गुरु से पूछा है और मैं बहुत शर्मिंदा हूँ और मैं नहीं चाहती कि मुझे नहीं लगता कि मेरी ज़िंदगी किसी को positively impact कर सकती है, so I'm not going to I can't do it. This was an answering machine message. So I'm shooting tomorrow, literally, right? And I am just stunned. A, because I've got everything going, and B, because I really believed in this person. I've put so much effort into it. Now, can you guys imagine if someone decided to make a film on your lives? You know, we all want that. We all want someone to write about us or you know, tell us their story. And everything's in place, and this person, you back out because of the prejudice of society, because of fear of what people will say, because the life that you live is something that in other people's eyes is shameful. So I went to New York City. We sat at a Subway restaurant, and she was like, Adnan, main nahi kar sakti. And I was like, Vijay, how do you think change happens? I was like, in this same country that you're sitting in, women weren't allowed to vote. Black people did not have rights. How do you think people's ideas about things change? It's through stories. I believe in you, is what I remember telling her. And she turned around, tear in her eye, looked at me, and she said, Adnan, if you really believe in my story that much, then meri zindagi tumhare haath mein. Do you guys realize the responsibility of that? I, at that moment, realized what it meant to be a filmmaker, what it meant to represent somebody in film, in stories. I had to be honest, I had to be authentic, and I had to basically tell this person's story who was so ashamed that she put it on me. That lesson that I learned from that, the next 6 months when I put it together, was always to be honest, to have a certain sense of integrity, and to realize that people will read things in different ways. 6 months later, the film was a finalist at the Student Academy Awards, and it won at the Kara Film Festival. It was the best short film, but the biggest gift was that Bijli came to the first screening, and she got up on stage and cried and said that this is a true representation of my life. And that was the biggest gift to me. Okay, so problem sorted, Adnan knows who he is. No. I decided I didn't want to be in America. I decided I wanted to come home. I missed my parents. It was tough. You know, I had jobs from HBO. I had a t-shirt company. I was doing well, but I was like, no, my purpose can't be to be here and make a lot of money or be successful in someone else's eyes. I was like, no, I have to go back. So packed up my bags and came back again to this amazing city. This amazing city that will always make room for you. It's a very generous city. We tend to forget that under all the trash. Everyone is welcome here. I come back, make some documentaries, do some stuff on the streets, but then media boom happens, right? It's like 2005, and it's crazy. The channels have come out, and Usha Ashraf is a big star. So I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I was like, I want to hang out with these people. Things started happening. I started modeling. I got into this Pepsi commercial with Rima. I started doing, you know, TV plays, and all of a sudden, this other side of me started really getting a lot of attention. Cool, sounds exciting to everybody else, but not me. So, I mean, clearly I have a problem, yeah. Yeah, I just felt really deeply empty. I felt like I wasn't giving back in the way that I wanted to. I'd be walking down the ramp, people would be like, oh, he's, you know, so good looking, oh, you know, like this and that, but it really was, I didn't believe it, A. And B, I just thought that it's not the kind of work that I want to be doing. At that time, on television, something amazing happened. There was a show I saw. Okay, it also happened after a heartbreak, fine. Like, because life is all about heartbreaks and work. I saw a show on TV that just was all light and love and positivity and something that really called to my heart, and I couldn't explain it, but I knew that I wanted my value system to be aligned with it. The show was? Anyone? Coke Studio? Anyone? Coke Studio. Season 1. I saw it, blown away by it. Dil mein maine bola ki yaar, I want to be a part of this. 3 months later, I got a phone call from a friend that said they're looking for a behind-the-scenes producer for Coke Studio. Do you want to do it? I was like, yes, of course I want to do it. What are you saying? So I went, I met Rohil, I met Amber. I was just so buzzed to be a part of this. And they were kind of like, looking at me, you know, model, actor, VJ, all the things you said. Can he do it? So I took a chance. I told them where my heart was. I spoke from my heart, not from my mind or from my business acumen. I said, listen, this is something I would love to be a part of. This is something that I think I can give something to. It's amazing and it's beautiful and it's not about me. It's about what we're doing together. They accepted me. Those 5 years where I was video producer, season 2 to season 6 of Coke Studio, probably the most amazing years of my life. And also a project that could only exist in Karachi. There was no other city in Pakistan that could even think of creating a project like that. It was the fact that it was such a mix of ideas and identities and cultures and people, you know, it's a migrant city that we live in with all kinds of people. And there was this amazing hub where we were creating like beautiful art and beautiful spirit work for the rest of the country, and it resonated. It wasn't just the country. I mean, it went massive. I mean, I shot Misha and Arif Lohar. You know, like I was the guy who did that. It was amazing when it happened outside, and Zishan Pervez with me. But when this thing resonated around the world, it was like the 10th most watched thing on Google Europe one summer and made like crazy numbers, right? Amazing, I'm sorted, and there's only 2 minutes left, but I'm not. So I'm just going to take you through this last part of my journey, which was that I decided that still there was something wrong, something that wasn't settled inside my heart. I started creating things, I started working on bigger projects, I started representing Pakistan the way I wanted to, and I was a part of something bigger. But something inside me wasn't healed. Something inside me felt a little broken, always had. Strangely enough, at the same time, I decided that I will start acting again because I'd given a hiatus for 5 years. I told myself, I think December 23rd, I remember, I said, Adnan, or dil ki baat uthti hai na, I was like, Adnan, you should start acting again. Just to myself. 3 weeks later, I get a phone call from Momina at Hum TV, who'd been telling me for years to act in the drama. In fact, I was supposed to be in Mere Paas Paas with Deepak, but I shaved my head because at that point, I wasn't ready to be in it. And they were so persistent. I got a phone call that said, Khalilur Rahman Kamar's life story, Ehtasham's directing it, and Mahira is going to be your co-star. It's a pretty good deal. I was like, okay, but anyone who knows me knows that, you know, I am a little bit of a burger bacha. So, meri Urdu kahan hai aur Khalil saab ki Urdu kahan hai. So I decided to do this, thinking that this is going to have some therapeutic process go through it. Now what happens to anyone who's seen Sadke Tumhare is that halfway through, he can't have his love. It's a true story based on the writer's life about his first love, and it was this like beautiful, elegiac, like spiritual, like the kind of love that we all ache for, that we all think that can happen in this world. And so this character cannot have it, and I had to get angry, and I didn't know where to get angry from, because I didn't know how to be angry. So I used to clench my core before any scene and go into it. I lost a lot of weight. I kind of went into anxiety. I think I stopped becoming Adnan and I started becoming Khalil. I kind of disconnected from everybody. And what someone later told me was that in Chinese medicine, basically that's this fire in your stomach, and if you're gripping it, it's all going upwards, so you're becoming ungrounded. So what ended up happening was that I ended up kind of going back into my own childhood. I know it sounds weird, but you know, I think everyone has a certain amount of trauma that they store within themselves, and that sort of defines their relationships and who they are. So I went back into my childhood to find this anger, and I had to deal with a lot. I unearthed a lot. But what I realized from that project was that I had to go to the past to heal myself so that I could be okay with my present, so I could become the person that I wanted to be in my future. Yeah. And so this is why I can stand in front of you now and say, yeah, I'm a VJ and an RJ and an actor and a model and a director and a whatever, but because it's something that I really gave my heart to, and it's something that I really believe is who I am. There's no shortcuts to getting where you want to be. I know. I've tried a lot of careers. I'm not the most successful person in Pakistan. I'm not the most successful person in this room. Probably not the most successful person like 5 meters from the stage. But I'd learned to define success for myself. And success for myself basically means waking up in the morning and being okay with who I am. And I think that's something that younger people don't have access to. I think we're all in the rat race to make more money, especially in a city like Karachi. We want to make more money. We want to, you know, have 1 billion likes on our social media. We want to have a nice house and a nice car, and that for men, an ideal partner, and, you know, 3 kids, and that's your life. I don't look at things that way. I think we have to define what success means to us. So one thing I'd ask all of you is to relook at that, because when you're, I've known people who've died in the last few years, and parents and people themselves. When you're at your deathbed, you're not thinking about how much money you made or what you're leaving behind. You're thinking about how you affected the people that loved you and who you loved. And I think if you can do that, then in my books, everyone here is a successful person. Put your heart into what you do, love the people around you, keep it simple, have a little bit of fun. But when people ask me, Adnan bhai, ye kaise karu, wo kaise karu, I'm like, just work on your person. So, I'm going to end it with a sher. एक और दरिया का सामना था मुनीर मुझको, मैं एक दरिया के पार उतरा तो मैंने ये देखा. There's always something else that we have to go after. Karachi taught me how to be an opening batsman. It taught me that it was my choice, what I wanted to do. The resilience of this city, its defining characteristic, shows you that opening, to become an opening batsman, is completely up to you. So I leave you guys with the question, what's stopping you guys from being your opening batsman? Thank you.
All right.